Hey, my name is Clark Minolti. I'm from California. Got asked to work for a reputable spearfishing company down here in Australia. Got talking to a few mates about going to do some exploration in the Torres Strait. And I'm out here exploring this part of the world and ready to tell you our story. So landing on the island here, coming in the runway, you know, this has got to be one of the shortest runways that I've ever seen. I mean, on approach, you're looking down and it cuts sort of right across the middle of the island, and it looks a little sketchy. These guys do it every day, so it was nothing to them. But for me, coming from Los Angeles, yeah, it sort of tripped me out. But it was all fun, you know. It sort of adds to the experience and opens up your world to new things. It was a long way to travel for me, coming down the southern hemisphere, spearfishing in different types of waters, looking at fish that I've never seen before. So IDing fish is somewhat different from what I've known in California, but it's a welcome change. And what most people might not recognize is that you're closer to actual Papua New Guinea than you are to Australia. We're probably only 60 nautical miles from PNG. When we landed here, we stopped into the visitor center, met with Big John. We sort of had to check in. Obviously, there's only 300 plus people here on this island. We're here on Darnley, just signing into the logbook from, we got to make sure that we check in. And so I'm putting my American address in here so that they know. They said this is the first American that's ever been to the island. John said, so I'm gonna take his word for it. 310 area code, that's Los Angeles. Getting to meet everybody here on the island, since it's so small, was a unique experience. I mean, we went out, there's one little pub. We went out one night, had drinks with everybody, and you know, everybody started singing at the end of the night because everybody's a little buzzed up or whatever it was, but it it was a good time.
My name is Blake McMahon and I'm from a place called Shell Harbour on the south coast of New South Wales, Australia. I met James O'Connor from the Navy. Decided to tee up a spearfishing trip up to the Torres Straits on Darnley Island. I decided to invite my friend along, Clark from California. On the flight out, we had the opportunity to see a lot of reefs surrounding Darnley Island. Definitely got my excitement levels up there. So we land and Clark, myself and James are pretty keen to get our gills wet. So we throw the boat in for a late afternoon mission. Shoot out to some closer reefs surrounding Darnley Island. There's plenty of them. So much reef to search up here. Got ourselves some nice little trouts and some tuskies and all that sort of stuff. I'd heard a bit about the Torres Straits. I knew the runs weren't quite favourable for spearfishermen, considering the water clarity tends to be affected quite a bit. But thought I'd take the risk and jump up here anyway and chance it. There's definitely some fish to be speared up here, no doubt about that.
My name's James O'Connor. I'm originally from the Sunshine Coast. Straight off Darnley, you have just reef structure that just goes for ages and ages. We were hitting edges that were, you know, from 5-6 metres down to 20, just straight off, and then trout, good nice sized trout.
We did have a couple decent pinnacle dives and some really nice reef dives. The reef dives on the ledges, steep drop-offs to about 25 meters. Very nice coral trout, mangrove jacks, tusky, and then your other assorted reef fish.
So when you go out to the long runs, like we went out to Canoe Cay, and there's further ones out at Underdown and all that, you know, with pinnacles off them, you always try and make sure you get someone to go back to. So when we were running out there, we'd be out in the water for 6-7 hours. So it's always good, especially if you catch fish out there. We always go back, gut and gill, you know, tidy everything up and eat, and the stuff that you even find around those sand caves. So most of the time there's turtles nesting, lots of birds nesting, and you get the bait fish with big bait balls in the water.
Since this island is so remote, the barge only gets to come in here once a week due to the tides. So resupplies for all the locals on the island, you know, they're waiting for that weekly shipment to come in.
Over the years, I've dove a fair few places around Australia and in America and Mexico. And one thing I have noticed in shark behaviour is that as soon as you jump in the water, sharks are in on you, saying hello. But once they get settled in, they sort of just tend off and hang out in the distance. Up here, same deal. Sharks come in, say hello. Nothing too big, didn't see any tigers. Plenty of reefies and bronzies. Once you shoot a fish up here, they didn't really bother us too much. Not a fish was shark, so we're pretty lucky in that regard.
Running out to those outside places that are 25 k's away, you can run a quarter of the way protected by the reef, but then other than that, you're just hitting it. And so if it's rough, especially in the boat that we've got, 4.6 metres, they're bloody straight over the bow, just splashing it the whole way, you're taking on water, the boat doesn't have a bilge pump, you know, so you get back and it's just full.
On a couple of days there, we didn't have the fortunate good weather forecast. It was blowing up quite a bit, so that kept us in pretty close to the reefs and the island itself. So we just took it upon ourselves to search for some crays. Typically, as everywhere else, you search for the bommies, look under the cracks, all that sort of stuff. Sure enough, we were lucky enough to find ourselves some good sized crays that we're all happy to pluck out of their holes.
So with the varying conditions throughout the week, we had 2 down days. We probably drank a keg of beer, at least. And then we had our last 2 days, which actually turned out to be awesome. The weather was like what it is right now, super glassy. We got out to one of the pinnacles. We had a 2-hour drift on that pinnacle, and we must have seen 6 to 8 mackerel come in. Landed 4 of those, didn't lose any to the sharks, and so it was a good last day for us to be here on the island and actually come out with some mackerel, some bigger pelagic fish. So all in all, it's a great success.